In Germany, they make a sweet Christmas bread that is packed full of warm spices, fruit, and nuts, and then topped with powdered sugar. Also, this bread usually has sweet almond marzipan stuffed straight down the middle of the bread. In this video, I'll show you how to make a sourdough version of Stollen. We'll start out by making the fruit and nut mixture. For my version, I'm using 150 grams of golden raisins. I tend to like the fruitier, sweeter flavor of golden raisins. It's just a little bit better to me than the regular purple raisins, so I like to use these ones. And then for nuts, I like to use 64 grams or one of these packs of slivered almonds, but you could also use the same amount of chopped almonds. Now we're going to add some spices that you might find in typical Christmassy baked goods, and we're going to add some citrus zest for some bright citrusy flavor. For the spices, you'll need a half teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and then for the zest, you'll need the zest of 1 lemon and the zest of 2 oranges. Place that in the same mixing bowl with the raisins and nuts. Then take those 2 oranges that you zested and squeeze them for the juice. We want 75 grams of orange juice for the nuts and fruits to soak up. I only ended up getting 68 grams of juice from my 2 oranges, so I just made up the difference with water. In the end, I had 75 grams of liquid, which is perfect because that's half the amount by weight of the raisins, so the raisins should really soak up the orange juice and absorb all of that flavor. The last thing you'll need to add is 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Stir it in, and then once your mixture looks like this, you can set it aside until you're ready to use it in your dough. To make your dough, get out a larger mixing bowl, place it on a digital scale, and add 200 grams of whole milk. Then add 75 grams of white sugar, and then you'll need 200 grams of active and risen sourdough starter. This is my sourdough starter that I fed the night before. I took 25 grams of starter out of the fridge, fed it 100 grams of all-purpose flour and 100 grams of water, and overnight it doubled in size, and by the morning it was ready to use in my dough. So add 200 grams of active and risen sourdough starter to your mixing bowl. Then get out some salt. Either kosher salt or sea salt will work fine. Add 10 grams of salt to the mixing bowl. When those ingredients are added, chop up the starter with a spoon and then just mix everything around so the starter and sugar and salt all dissolve into the milk. When you have a well-mixed milky mixture like this, you can add the flour. You'll need 400 grams of all-purpose flour. I'm using the King Arthur brand of all-purpose flour, the one that comes in the red bag. All-purpose flour will give you a more tender and less chewy result than if you would use bread flour, which for this type of sweet bread that's a little more delicate, it'll be perfect. Now take your spoon and start stirring your dough ingredients together until a rough dough is formed. This should take just about 1 to 2 minutes of mixing in the bowl. And at the 1 to 2 minute mark, when you have a rough dough that looks like this, it should be a little bit harder to stir at this point, and the dough won't seem to want to absorb any more of that flour. That's when you'll add your final dough ingredient, softened butter. This is 1 stick of butter or 113 grams that I diced up and allowed it to soften at room temperature until I could squish it with my finger. That's when you know it's soft enough to easily mix into your dough. So add all of the butter cubes right on top of the dough and then bring the dough together with your hands. Squeeze the butter into the dough with your hands for a minute or so until the butter fully integrates into the dough. Then all you need to do is knead the dough by hand for 2 minutes. You can do this inside of the bowl, but I found that inside the bowl it just got a little bit too dry, so I wanted more space to work with. So I moved the dough to the countertop, poured the dry bits on top of the dough, and kept kneading on the counter. Knead the dough for only 2 minutes by hand, picking up all those dough pieces on the counter, until finally your dough should hold together and be kind of rough and crackly on the surface. You're going to be folding the dough later to incorporate the fruit and nuts, so this is as much gluten development as you need at this point. As long as the dough looks crackly and holds together, it's fine. So plop the dough on your counter, roll it into a ball, and move your dough to a mixing bowl or a separate glass bowl and press it down so it's relatively flat. Then cover the dough with plastic wrap, and you can even press it down to the surface of the dough. There's enough butter in the dough that it won't stick, and this will help keep the dough from drying out. Now let the dough sit at room temperature and rest for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, uncover your dough and you're ready to add the fruit and nuts. So press down the dough a little bit with your fingertips to flatten it. And we're going to be adding the fruit and nut mixture all at once, but in a few stages. So at first, add 1/3 of the fruit and nut mixture on top of the dough. Press it down so it sticks. And then fold the dough over itself so you have another layer of dough exposed, and you folded the fruit and nut mixture into the middle. Press the dough down to flatten it with your fingertips, and then add another third of the fruit and nut mixture on top of the dough. This will look exactly the same as last time. Press the fruit and nut mixture into the dough so it sticks, then fold the dough over itself so that a layer of dough is exposed again. Press the dough down to stick and flatten it with your fingertips. Then add the final third, whatever is left of the fruit and nut mixture on top of the dough, being sure to get all of those juices if there are any left, and press the mixture into the dough to stick. Now you're going to fold the dough over itself a few times, just going back and forth, grabbing an edge of the dough and folding it over the top of the dough and pressing down. This will incorporate the fruit and nuts into the middle of the dough in various layers. Once you've done that a few times, flip the dough over so that the smooth side is facing up and the seam side is facing down. Then just gently shape the dough into a ball by rounding out the edges with your hands. And once you've got a dough ball that looks something like this, it's ready for the first rise or the bulk fermentation. Cover the dough up with plastic wrap and press it down so that the dough doesn't dry out during the long bulk fermentation. Then cover it with another kitchen towel for extra protection and let it rise for 6 to 12 hours. If it's cold in your kitchen, this may take a long time, but let it rise however long it needs for it to double in size. My room temperature was about 68 degrees Fahrenheit when I let this dough rise, and it took almost 10 hours to get puffy and double in size like this. It's a very heavy and rich dough, so it does take longer than other breads to rise. So at this point, I'm covering up my dough and I'm just going to move it to the fridge where it'll stay there for the entire night until the next day when I'm ready to shape it and let it go through the second rise or the final proof. So move your dough to the fridge for up to 24 hours. It's the next day and I'm ready to shape my bread, but first I'm going to make the marzipan filling, which is optional but recommended. If you've never made your own marzipan before, you should really try it because it's really easy and very good. Start by adding 100 grams of ground almond flour to a bowl. Extra finely ground almond flour is best. And then add the same amount by weight, so 100 grams of powdered sugar. 100 grams of almond flour and 100 grams of powdered sugar go into the mixing bowl, and then add the egg white from one egg, which is about 35 grams or so. To bring the marzipan together, stir the ingredients with a fork until it forms a really powdery, crumbly mixture that looks something like this. Then keep stirring until the dough starts to form what looks like crumbly, wet sand. And it might feel like this will never come together to form a dough, but just hang in there, it will. Squeeze the wet sand textured marzipan together with your hands right in the bowl is fine, and then turn the mixture out onto your unfloured counter and knead this dough for about 1 to 2 minutes until it comes together to form a dough. Once your marzipan stops crumbling and starts holding together, that's when it is ready to shape. For a Christmas Stollen, you'll need to shape your marzipan into one long log, and then you'll cut that log into 2 pieces for the 2 pieces of dough that we'll be shaping. So unstick the dough from the counter with your bench scraper, and then shape the dough into a rough log, and roll it with your hands until you get a nice long log of dough that is generally the same thickness throughout. Then once your marzipan log is roughly a foot long, you can cut it in half with a bench scraper or a chef's knife, and you should end up with 2 pieces that are about 6 to 8 inches in length. You can just keep these 2 marzipan pieces off to the side at room temperature while you shape your Stollen dough. To shape the Stollen, here's what you do. Take it out of the fridge, and it should feel really cold and hard at this point because the butter has actually solidified inside of the dough. So the dough should feel like one solid mass at this point, but that is no problem at all. You'll be making 2 Stollens with this amount of dough, so cut the dough in half with a chef's knife or a bench scraper, and then check out the inside, just how fermented and stuffed full of fruit and nuts this actually is. You should smell some warm, spicy aromas as well. To shape these 2 Stollens, you're basically going to shape it into a ball and then press the balls of dough flat against the counter. So take one of the pieces of dough and just close that end that you cut with the rest of the dough, and then press the dough down against the counter with your hand. You basically have a dough ball that you flatten against the counter. And you shouldn't need to use any flour on the counter at this point because the dough is pretty easy to work with because it's so cold. Repeat the same process with the second dough. Close the exposed area and then form a ball and press it down to flatten on the counter. Now both of your Stollen doughs are ready to shape with a rolling pin and stuff with marzipan. To shape your Stollen, this is how I do it at least. Flip one of the doughs over so the seam side is facing up, and then take your rolling pin and start flattening the dough dough in the middle, but leaving a thicker edge on both ends of the dough. Allow me to reposition my dough here and just flatten the center of the dough, not too flat, but you're flattening it more than the edges. So the middle is flattened down with the rolling pin, and you should be leaving a thicker part of the dough at the top and also at the bottom. So both ends are a little bit thicker and it's flatter in the middle. Then take one of your 2 pieces of marzipan log and place that near the thick edge at the bottom of the dough. And you don't want the marzipan to be too long, so if it's a little bit longer than your dough, you can cut off the ends with your bench scraper. Now with the marzipan in its place, press it down into the dough so that it sticks, and then fold the dough over kind of like a taco, but also kind of like you're wrapping up a baby in swaddling clothes, which is actually what this Christmas bread is meant to represent. With your marzipan swaddled snugly inside of the sweet dough, press the dough down outside of the marzipan area with your fingertips. Avoid pressing down on the marzipan log, because we want that to remain in place. Then press down on the dough with your rolling pin, the same part that you press down with your fingertips, and seal it with the rolling pin. Then also seal the outside edge of the dough with your fingertips, and all of the shaping process gives the Stollen its classic shape, but it also keeps it from opening up in the oven as the Stollen bakes. Place the shaped Stollen onto a parchment paper lined baking sheet, and then repeat the same shaping process for the other Stollen dough, wrapping up the marzipan and then sealing the dough. Once both doughs are arranged on the baking sheet lined with parchment paper, cover them up with plastic wrap so they don't dry out, then top with another kitchen towel to further prevent drafts, and let the doughs rise at room temperature for about 2 to 4 hours, or until they get noticeably puffy. Then about 30 minutes before your doughs are done rising, preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And after 3 hours of rising, I maybe could have gone longer, but I was ready to bake these Stollens. They were looking puffy, they were feeling a little bit puffy to the touch, and there was a noticeable rise on them, so they were ready to bake. And this is a pretty easy bread to bake because you do all of the topping after it's done baking. So just move your sheet pan of doughs directly to the preheated oven and bake your Stollens at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 35 to 45 minutes until the Stollens get a little bit of golden brown color on the top. When your Stollens are done baking, this is roughly what they should look like. This is after 45 minutes of baking, and I'm seeing some golden brown color on top of the dough and a little bit of toasting on the almonds. Take the Stollens out of the oven, and before you let the dough rest, place the tray on top of a cutting board or your kitchen counter and pick off all of the little sacrificial raisins that are a little bit too burnt on the outside of the bread to be enjoyable. Don't worry about this because there are plenty of golden and juicy raisins on the inside of the dough. And once you've removed all the burnt raisins that you want to remove, melt 2 tablespoons of salted butter and then brush it on top of the 2 Stollens with a pastry brush. You want to generously cover the Stollens with melted butter so that the sugar that you're about to sprinkle on top of the bread sticks to the bread. Sugar and butter. How are you not going to love this? So before the bread cools, we're going to sprinkle each of the Stollens with about 1 tablespoon of plain white sugar. Once they've got a good dusting of plain white sugar, shake them off to get rid of any excess flour, and then move the Stollens onto a cooling rack where they can cool for at least 1 hour, but you want them to fully cool down before adding the powdered sugar. So let these breads fully cool down on the cooling rack, and then when you come back, bring some powdered sugar with you. Place the Stollens onto a cutting board and then dust them as generously as you want with powdered sugar. I was just freehanding this powdered sugar with a spoon, but using some kind of shaker bottle or a sifter would probably be even more attractive than this. Now, traditionally, you can store Stollen for a long time by wrapping it tightly in foil and then just letting the flavors meld over a month or 2. But yeah, I've never done that. I've just eaten one right away, and you can always give the other Stollen away wrapped tightly if you want to. To serve your sourdough Stollen, cut it into thin slices with a serrated bread knife. I think the pieces are perfect when they're around the size of biscotti. When you pick one of the pieces up, you should notice that sweet almond marzipan running right through the center of the bread, a little bit offset from the center. And the sweet dough should be studded everywhere with toasted almonds and golden raisins. And if you can't resist smelling your slice of sourdough Stollen, you'll be rewarded with a warm, spiced cinnamon and nutmeg Christmassy aroma. This is definitely an indulgent and sweet, enriched bread, But it's not one-dimensional at all. You get sweetness from the powdered sugar, but you also get a completely different sweetness from the almond marzipan. And all of that sweetness is balanced really well with the warm spices, and also with the slightly tangy flavor of the orange-infused golden raisins. The delicately soft, sweet sourdough dough is also really well balanced with the crunchiness of the toasted almonds. This bread has a lot going for it, and if you have time left to make it before Christmas, I really recommend giving it a try, and if not, you can always make it next year. Overall, this is an amazing Christmas bread that any sourdough baker should try their hand at making.